Welcome to the Diary of a Muslim Entrepreneur. Today I'll be interviewing Adam Khan of khanfitness.com in the UK. We talk a little bit about his story, how he started his business, his entrepreneurial journey, and how he went through a lot of weight loss struggles throughout his life. I hope you enjoy the pod. Alhamdulillah, it's a pleasure to finally meet you.
Likewise.
Likewise. Awesome.
I wasn't sure if it was going to be on Google Meets or Zoom or whichever. I didn't really see the link, and then I just
No,
saw
I
that.
figured I'd send it via, LinkedIn. That way, at least you have it there. And then if you want to check out the calendar invite, alhamdulillah, at least one of them got there, right?
Alhamdulillah. I jumped on this from the email.
Good,
I've
alhamdulillah.
I've been linked for the last couple of hours. Yes, sir. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good here. Over here, it's 11 a.m. in the morning. So, or if you would call that a morning, I call it afternoon for myself personally. I'm usually awake early morning. So, but alhamdulillah, your journey is very interesting. I mean, you started. I mean, tell me a little bit more about yourself, I guess, and then we can talk about me.
Subhanallah. What aspect of my journey do you want to know about? Because I've got a very lengthy journey. Do you want to know the fitness aspect, the business aspect, my health journey, my personal health journey?
I think let's talk about your personal health journey because that seems very interesting, and I think that flows into everything else pretty much, right?
It does, yeah. So, my father had a heart attack when I was about 8 years old, 8 or 9 years old. I was in the UK. They call it Junior One. So
Mm-hmm.
after my father had a heart attack, it made me aware of health
Mm-hmm.
in our community. But I didn't think much of it. Then at 14, he had a stroke, and then he was essentially so I was 14, not when I was
Mm-hmm.
14, he had a
Yeah, yeah.
stroke. He was in his 50s, early 50s. He had a stroke, and then for the 8 years after that, he was pretty much a cabbage. And then I also had um, I had some serious health problems as well from the age of 15 to 19 and a half. I was pretty much, I caught a rare case of TB in the bone of my skull, and my health deteriorated. I became housebound, and then from housebound, I became bedbound, and then alhamdulillah, eventually I recovered. And when I recovered, I gained weight for the first time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, that was a good thing because doctors say, oh, after a TB and after such a traumatic experience, when you gain weight, it's a good thing. It means I'm recovering. But then that ballooned,
Mm-hmm.
uh, out of control because I was always a skinny kid. I was underweight because of the TB. Like at 19, 18, 19, I was like 7 stones.
So seven
Um,
stones for people like me who are in the Americas. What does that translate to? Like kilograms or pounds wise?
in kilograms, it would be about 50, 55 kg, 60
What's it
kg.
like about 120, 140 pounds somewhere in that neighborhood?
Yeah. So we do stones in the UK. I prefer kg. I prefer kg, but we do stones in the UK. And I thought that you do stones in Canada as well. Sorry, kgs in Canada. Um, so yeah, I was underweight. Then I gained weight, and and then after that, because when I was ill, when something is removed from you, you
Mm-hmm.
understand the value of it. So when I was really ill, if I was given the opportunity to be able to walk, train, and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I would, it would have been a huge blessing. And so when I gained, so at that time, I kind of promised I would never take my health for granted. But there I was. I took my health for granted. I gained weight and stuff. And then I thought, okay, I need to do something about this. And I had a friend of mine. Like I keep bugging everybody online now. Do something. I had a friend like that. Kept saying to me, "Oh, just come to the gym." And I made the same excuses like everybody else does. I haven't got time. And I used to have this line that I laugh at now. I said, "I'm too busy exercising my brains." And I said, "Look, you've got body dysmorphia."
Mm-hmm.
So I was projecting insecurities onto him
Mm-hmm.
because I see that people do that to me now, and I see where they're coming from, and I could see that myself in them. So I said, "Look, you're just obsessed about your physique. You've got body dysmorphia. You should
Mm-hmm.
just accept the way you are and just be happy with yourself." And I mean, don't get me wrong. I was at university. I was doing uni stuff, and then I was doing fit classes, Arabic classes, this class, that class,
Mm-hmm.
and my timetable was full.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd go to uni in the morning, and in the evenings I was in, Islamic classes and this, that, and the other, and then working part time. I never really I wasn't spending hours playing video games or watching TV. Like now, it's Netflix and video games. It wasn't so much then. But eventually, one day when I caught the bug, I went crazy with it. I lost weight, and then after that, I had this journey of yo-yo dieting and being crazy at the gym and trying to lose weight. And then 10 years, I struggled. After 10 years, I kind of figured out a system and a process that I use now.
Oh wow, subhanallah. Sounds very similar to my life. I was a very chubby kid. I was the opposite of you. Instead of being skinny, I was very chubby. I was fat. Probably 195 pounds when I graduated high school. So that comes out to about maybe, what about 80, 90 kilos, something like that. Very, very heavy, right? At college, tried to reduce down the weight, got down to maybe about 180, 170, top 170, 179, 178 pounds. That's about what, 80, 80 something odd kilos?
Yeah, yeah. What's your height?
5'7", 5 foot 7 inches.
Oh, we're the same height. I'm currently 100. I'm eight. Sorry, I'm eight. I'm 76 kg,
Okay.
and so it's 170 pounds ish, 175, yeah, something like that.
See,
So,
wow. I mean, and then just recently again, I mean, I was almost at 226 pounds. Uh, let's see, at the beginning of April, today I'm sitting at 202.2. So I lost that by actually following the prophetic diet more so than anything else. Like
mm,
fasting more consistently Mondays and Thursdays, eating low glycemic index foods such as dates, water, a lot more water consumption, eating things that I think are less processed because the American diet, unfortunately, most of our foods here are sugar laden.
mm.
And if you compare the ingredient lists of something in America versus Canada versus what's it called, the UK,
Yeah, are you in USA or Canada?
I'm in the United States.
Oh, for some reason I thought you were in Canada.
No, I have family in Canada, but
Okay,
I'm not in Canada. I'm in
okay.
Atlanta, Georgia. It's the home of Coca Cola. Let's see, what else is the home of?
I'd love to visit Georgia though. I know where it is, Georgia. I'm a fan of, but I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I've listened to a few. You know, Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher. Yes,
Jack, so
I've
Lee
heard of the
Child, he's
name.
written some books about this wandering ex-veteran hitchhiker type thing, and there's a series on Netflix about Jack Reacher. So
Mm.
I used to listen to his books.
Mm.
I never read them. I used to listen to them on Radio 4. In the UK, there's a radio channel called Radio 4, and they read
I'm guessing it
stories
was
from,
on the BBC.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm familiar
So
with the radio channels on in the UK
I used to
degree.
drive a lot one time. As a job, I was driving and I used to put on the radio for and that came on once and I listened to it. And then I went on and listened to his book called The Killing Field or
Mm.
The Killing Floor. And that's set in Georgia. It mentioned Georgia and yeah.
Georgia is famous because you also have Martin Luther King Jr., right? Home of the civil rights movement. You
Yes, yeah,
have so much more history outside of that, the American Civil War, and then you have the creation of so many other businesses that came out of Atlanta,
yeah.
Georgia, surprisingly. And I
And the
was,
weather's quite good as well there, right?
yeah, it's much better than the
I
UK.
mean,
Sorry for throwing
it's not,
shade.
because you're on the southern side, right?
Hmm.
The northern part of America is even worse than the UK. It gets colder than the UK, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It does. I mean, I lived in Belgium and in Belgium for almost 3 months. I hated it. It was always cloudy, always cloudy. Same thing with Poland, always cloudy, and it was not an environment for me.
UK is the same, man. UK is the same. I want to get out of the UK, bro. I want to
Really?
get where I am, Manchester, it's the same, man.
Hmm.
I mean, if there's, I hate excuses, but one valid excuse for people like me who are just not, you can never, I've been here all my life and I'm still not used
Hmm.
to the weather.
Hmm.
I still complain about it, right? Now, a valid excuse, I believe, is the rain,
Hmm.
right? Like, it just rains here almost every other day. Like, when it's not raining, I go out for a walk, I go for a cycle.
Hmm.
I enjoy doing it. I don't mind being out and being active.
Hmm.
It's just, in fact, I get FOMO about not being active when it's good weather. But because it's always raining, it's raining. I don't want to get wet,
Hmm. I could see that.
right? Like today, I was planning to go cycling for an hour in the morning. And I was like, you have to train consistently and you have to set yourself goals, right?
Hmm.
So I set myself goals, and like I can't achieve that because it's raining today. I'm not going to go today.
So, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you currently?
I'm 44, but in a couple of months I turn 45.
Mashallah. You look young. You look very young. You're like mid
It's the
20s.
great rays coming out.
I mean, I'm in my 30s, so you look good for your age. Mashallah. Mashallah. So how long have you been running Khan Fitness? I'm curious to learn a little bit more about the business side and uh, how you came up with FDLM, Fit
Treat that
Dad
like
Blaster, or sorry, apologies, I forget the name. The Fit Dad Life Mastery program, right?
yes. A bit of a mouthful, yes. I mean, I did change it to recently. I had a mentor from Canada, and he said, "Look, call it Fit Muslim Dad." I thought, okay, I'll try it. But what happens on LinkedIn, you don't get so much. But on Facebook, right? When you attach Muslim to anything, I find that you attract a cohort, especially in the UK, of very, very judgmental
Oh yes.
and toxic individuals. They completely ignore the message
Mhm.
and they just start focusing on all the wrong things, and then you have to deal with them. So I just thought I tried staying away
Mhm.
from the, even though I'm Muslim and there's a lot of Muslimness about me, I try not to push the whole Muslim label because I
Mhm.
find it attracts the wrong clientele.
I am in total agreement with you. When I was initially
Especially
setting,
in the UK. In the USA and Canada, people seem to be a bit more relaxed.
it depends on what part of the society you're going in, right? If you're going from speaking to people from back home, from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, you have that toxicity that's present still, right? But if you're speaking to the newer generation, then it's totally different, right? Because they're more open. They're far more open-minded.
UK, they just have this unhealthy obsession of just what can I find wrong about this guy? If he says Muslim, I've got to do my checklist. So has he got a beard? Is it for, then is he has he got is he doing this? Is he doing that? And
Mm,
then I have to remind him, brother, akhi, this, brother, this. I thought, bro, you missed the message.
yeah. And it's so sad. It's the same issue I ran into when I was initially setting up my podcast. Initially, I was going to call it Halal Nation, but then I
Mm,
realized, wait a second. If I do this, maybe people won't identify with this brand. If I say Diary of a Muslim Entrepreneur, very
yeah,
different audience, right? You're dealing with
yeah,
entrepreneurs, you're dealing with Muslims. Yes, you are, but it's
yeah.
not the same audience, right? It's
Yes,
fundamentally
this is
different.
not.
You're
But I
focused.
found even adding the label Muslim in the UK, in the UK, I think it's a major UK problem, and people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, who obviously the internet's global,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it's a major UK problem. So I moved away from that. I try not to use that label as much, even though I'm unapologetically Muslim.
It's the same, same here. Like, unapologetically Muslim as well. It's just, you know, it's just that how society views it, right? Especially
Yeah,
in the current diaspora, where we have the issues in Palestine and elsewhere, right? So
yeah,
everything would just get into a super microscopic view. Completely
yeah.
understand that.
So sorry, you were asking me. So after my health journey for 10 years, I struggled my
Mm-hmm.
way. Around 2012, um, I thought I just got divorced. I took custody of my two children. I was overweight. I got diagnosed with high blood pressure, pre-diabetic, um, high cholesterol. I was in the gym 5 days a week. Right, that was the worst part.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, look, I've got to figure this out. Two things. One is I thought, right, okay, because I wanted to reinvent myself, and it's not necessarily reinvent, but just I wanted to get in shape, look good, and put myself back on the market, right? To get married again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not immediately after this, after a few years,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a year or so, and then also, I, at that time as well, because I took my two kids in custody, I couldn't work full time, and I wanted to find something that I could work around them. I was teaching at the masjid part time. It wasn't enough, so I started looking. I've always had this entrepreneurial streak about me
Mm-hmm.
since 19. And if you're quite young, you're 30,
Yeah, I'm 33.
33. Okay, so you know Russell Brunson and all that stuff,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
And you know direct mail and all that. So I was a consumer of a lot of direct mail in my teens. So I used to order all of these direct mail stuff. It's like me and Russell Brunson had a similar journey, except he carried on and I kind of quit in between, right? Because I used to get all of these direct mail newsletters. I tried all sorts in my teen years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was always never settled at work. I never, ever felt comfortable at work. I always wanted to do my own thing, be on my own timetable. And to this day, I struggle with taking orders. Right? So um, I've always wanted to do something. So when I was became a single parent, I was looking after my children, and I had a bit of time. I was working part time. I had time on my hands. I thought, look, I have to make something work. So I started looking at online marketing again, and the different ways of doing business online. I read the book The Secret. I read the Think and Grow Rich,
Mm-hmm.
all these books. I went on this journey, and then I started trying things out. I've got a website actually where I teach Quran in 40 days, where you learn to understand the Quran in 40 days.
Mashallah.
That was my around that time. So it took about 4 years. I started learning stuff, messing about, affiliate marketing, selling T-shirts, selling mugs and cups. I tried everything, e-commerce, and then I built a course for learning fluent Arabic. And then around 2016, 2017, one thing that Russell Brunson said that stuck with me, and he said, look, what is a pain that somebody's willing to pay to solve,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what is a pain that keeps people awake at night? And then I had a call from a lovely sister. She's an entrepreneur as well, and I can try and introduce you to her. She's a successful entrepreneur, lives in Dubai, convert to Islam. Kelly Law, she's called. So she had a call with me once. She saw me trying all these things, and she said to me, she reached out to me, and she said, "Look, I can see you trying all these things. Do you need some advice and guidance? Free. I'll give you a consultancy free." Um, so she hopped on a call with me, and she said to me, "Look, what are you doing? What are your plans? How are you going about it?" And I said to her, "Look, I'm doing this. I've done this Quran course. I spent 2 years building this Quran course, by the way, because I was teaching it at the masjid. I was teaching it in Islamic school, so I thought might as well just package it." And so she said to me, "Look, quit that." She said, "Quit that." After 2 years of investment into this, she said, "Look, leave that because," she said, "Look, there's so many people doing that. It's saturated.
Mm-hmm.
A, it's saturated, and B, there's people that are going to do it for dirt cheap, and it's a price war there in that uh, environment. There's a price war. There's too many people doing it, and there's people far more educated than you who are real, like high caliber scholars, and they're doing it, right?" So she goes, "Have you got any other interests and hobbies?" So I thought about it, and I thought, well, I lost weight about 5 or 6 years ago, and I kept it off, and I've been in the gym and the fitness scene for over 13, 14 years at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So she says, "Why don't you do something around that?" But yeah, why not? And the biggest thing was this, that more people are concerned about their weight
Mm-hmm.
than they are about not understanding the Quran.
Which is sad but true. Yes.
Yeah. So I thought most people, when it comes to understanding the Quran, they have a fleeting interest.
Mm-hmm.
At one time they hear a lecture, they're emotional, I want to understand the Quran, and then it's gone,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when they're overweight and they can't put their belt on, they can't put their clothes on, they look in the mirror. Because I went through this journey myself, you see.
Mm-hmm.
When I was overweight, what would happen was I'd wake up in the mirror, and at the foot of my bed, I had a mirror, right? So I'd wake up in the morning, I'd look at myself in the mirror, not happy with myself, right? And then I'd go to put my trousers on. You have to wear a suit to work and trousers. I put my trousers on, and the trousers not fitting.
Yeah.
Then I'd sit in my car, going to work, and I'm struggling to button the trousers, and the belt's digging into my belly, and it's painful, right? So then I go to work. I'm sat at the office all day, same thing. The belt's digging into me. Then I have to unbutton one button, and then just have the belt keep my trousers on, and this would bug me on the way to work, at work, on the way back from work, and I'd still be thinking about it at night. So I thought, I want to solve that problem for somebody else.
Mm.
And then I did my level, all my qualifications. I went and got certified in personal training and coaching. Then I did other coaching certifications. Then I did other courses and programs in building a business and marketing and sales and stuff. And that's where I am today.
Wow, mashallah. That's amazing. That's an amazing journey. Wow.
So officially, I launched officially online. I got my certifications in 2019. And within 6 months, I just went online. I did 2 or 3 months offline, and it wasn't my thing. I just went online. Alhamdulillah. paid like, don't get me wrong, I'd paid like £7,000, £8,000 on learning how to build a fitness business,
Mm. I mean,
right?
that's the
And
price of paying down the ignorance debt, right?
yes,
So I
yes,
mean,
I learned how to build marketing, sales, funnels, or not necessarily funnels, but 'cause I still don't really use proper funnels, right? But that whole, that whole business
mm,
systems and processes. Because here's the thing, and I wrote about this on Facebook recently. I made the mistake, the broke mindset mistake. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I couldn't afford it as well. I was at the masjid and I was earning £300 a month, right?
mhm.
And this course, the first course I bought, it was £2,500. I was eyeing that course for about 2.5, 3 years before I bought it,
Wow.
right? Because I never had the money and I couldn't bring myself. And I had this mentality, oh, I'll just find it on YouTube.
Mhm.
I just Google it. I just spent 2 or 3 years. At the end of 2.5, 3 years, I thought, okay, I'm still where I am 3 years ago,
Mhm.
right? I still haven't made progress. And this guy is promising me that, look, within 90 days, you'll get you'll have made your money back. If you haven't, we will help you to make sure you have. You know, you have a team of people, and he lived up to his promise. I mean, but before I didn't need to resort to his guarantee because I'd already made the money back
Mhm.
within a month.
So
And
that
then I bought his next
so
course.
what caused the switch? What caused the mental switch? Like, oh, I've been in this position for about 3 years. What? I mean, like, there must have been something that triggered it, or was it just pure, that I'm in the same spot and you're just angry with
Yeah,
yourself? Like, what
yeah,
caught? What
yeah.
was that?
That frustration. I thought, look, you know what? No, if nothing changes. Nothing changes. I'm not willing to waste any more time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not willing to waste any more time. And he had a lot of social proof. He was, like if you go to my website, you'll see I've got 30 video case studies. I've got 122 5-star reviews. And you know how hard it is to get a review of clients. You have to ask
Totally,
them and
totally.
ask them and ask them. So I'm going to do it tonight when I get home. They love you to bits and say, yeah, it's fantastic. When I get home today, I will do it, Daniel. And then I get home, I was like, oh, I forgot. Sorry, Akhi.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow. And then you asking them. So, despite that, alhamdulillah, we managed to get like 122 5-star reviews. I've got about 30 video case studies. I've got a backlog of about many more backlog on my computer because you have to edit them and chop
Mm-hmm.
them up and make them just succinct and put them online. So, um, I've got a ton of social proof, right? So similarly, he had so much social proof, right? Like, just positive comments after positive comments after positive comments. And, he was the first pioneer on online coaching. Now everybody is a copycat. He started this in 2009,
Wow.
online fitness coaching, right? And then he did, in 2013, I think he lectured at Harvard on building a fitness business online.
What's the name of this gentleman again?
It's John Goodman,
John Goodman.
Jonathan Goodman. Yeah, he owns the he mind you, I bought his level two, and level two were left a lot to be desired because he's outsourced. He's sold his business, but he's sold one arm of it, and it's been sold to others, and they haven't nurtured it with the same love like he has.
Hmm. So, so your business has been active since 2019, then, correct?
Yeah.
So
So
you've been.
end of 2019. And again, I'm going to give you some of the secrets for your viewers and listeners. I don't know if this is being recorded. And
Yes, it is. It is.
okay, fantastic. So here's something that how something that might be helpful to them. So, um, end of 2019, I launched online. Within a month, I got a handful of clients,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then and it was like at that time I used to launch every 3 months. So I used to launch 3 months, and then I used to work on the back end of the business. I'd have the clients. I thought, okay, I've got enough to pay my bills for the next 3 months, and then I work on the back end because when you're building a business, trying to work on the business and in the business at the same time is very, very difficult.
It's very much
So
so.
I used to have a launch model. Every 3 months I'd launch. So I did that. But then I was by being in that course, I was also in a group, Facebook group. And I bought at that time. So here's the thing, you have that switch, right? Once you buy one course or program and it gives you success, then you realize, why am I wasting time? Then you just start buying loads, right? So, and that's what I did. Like, I started buying loads of courses. Some were good, some weren't. and you always get put into a private community. So I was in this private community where there was other coaches and they were quite successful. And this one coach, he was doing really well. Right, he started making like I saw like he was at 9, and he was talking about it. When I started in Jan, I was a trainer in a local gym. I was making £1,000 a month. It was difficult. Then by June, he was making 5,000. Then he went to 15,000. Then he was on 30,000 a month. And he said to me, "Look, I've expanded so much. I'm looking for a coach to help me. And if you don't want to do all the business coaching and all, if you don't want to do all the business stuff and you just want to coach, apply with me." So I thought, wow, I've got a lot to learn from this guy. And I still had this pricing mindset as well. I had a problem because I'm Asian. I'm from thinking, I still had, no one's going to pay, no one's going to pay, no one's going to pay. And I was dead cheap. I was undercutting myself. And I was struggling to provide the level of service that I wanted to because at the time I was really cheap, right? And so I started coaching so this coach, he puts advert up and I applied.
Sorry for interrupting the middle of the show, guys. I see that 80 to 90% of you guys haven't subscribed, and my goal is by the end of this year to hit at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. I hope that you guys can help me. If you can please spread this to your friends, your family, I would really appreciate it. It would help me achieve one of my targets for the end of the year. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys get back to the show. I hope you appreciate it and you enjoy it so far.
So a few of the people applied and I applied. So he phoned me and he interviewed me and he loved my answers. Like, cause he said to me, "Look, why do you want to do this?" And he could tell that I was passionate about it and I wanted to make a big difference. It wasn't about money. He said to me, "Look, everybody else I've spoken to, they just said money, 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 money." And he goes, "You sound like you're passionate about it. And I've seen your social media and I can see that you've been giving value for years. You're not like an overnight thing." Because even though I hadn't started my fitness business, for several years I've been talking about fitness online. So he saw this and he said, he gave me the job. So I started working for him, and he was premium, like he was charging a lot, right? Very, very premium. And I saw that, wow, here he is charging 5 times more than my rates, right? And he's offering a third of what I'm offering. And so that was a massive mindset shift for me. And that's when I started slowly increasing my prices. So then I put my business on hold because he was paying me well an hourly rate, and I was just coaching for him. And I didn't have to worry about business systems, processes, sales, marketing, anything. So I coached for him for about 9 months. I coached about 300 women. These are non-Muslim women. And one of the challenges I had was that women are quite difficult to coach. They're very emotional. And especially when they're white women who've got their issues were they come home from work, they're tired and stressed, so they drink wine. On the weekends, they've got a hangover. I couldn't relate to any of that. Right? I couldn't relate to any of that. So, and plus, like, there was a bit of a disconnect when they're 45-year-old white woman, I'm a brown, bearded Muslim man. There's a bit of a disconnect. And plus, I had to be ultra politically correct. Sometimes I just wanted to say certain things, I just couldn't say it. So I coached for him, and then he changed his pricing model, the way he would pay coaches. And I thought, okay, it's not going to work for me. This is an opportunity for me to leave. And I got quite a lot of experience then. And then I came back to my business, and I started making it more premium, offering more things that would get results rather than just extra stuff.
So give me an example of what would give you a result versus just extra stuff. Like what are you referring to?
So like right now, a lot of our clients, they don't want a ton of information.
That's true.
Yeah, they just want to be told, this is what I need to do. And just be there for them when they need you, and that's it. And then just giving them a clear structure, remove all the noise, give them a clear structure. Here's 3 things that we'd like you to work on. And the way we work is this: like, okay, Daniel, okay, let's have a look. We'll do an audit of your entire life, sleep, nutrition, water, hydration, movement, everything, and then we will mutually agree on a few action steps. Then we'll monitor you on those. And, if you are making progress, fantastic, we'll add more. If not, we'll take a step back and see, okay, what do we need to fix? Why are we not making progress with this? And there's a lot of mutual consultation, and then progress is made that way. See, people think, okay, I just need a meal plan. I just need a workout plan. That doesn't work. If you just want a meal plan, workout plan, you can get that from Google. Plus, we have so much knowledge and expertise that we can foresee the problems that you'll have before you had them. We worked with, we try and specialize in one demographic, which is like high achieving Muslim men, and they tend to have similar problems. And we've resolved those problems 100 times.
So then it becomes easier to deliver a more holistic service, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense. That makes absolute sense. So just give me an idea, like how big is your team currently? Well, so you have the website, you have your your coaching that
So
you're
our
doing.
team used to be 12 at one point. I've reduced it, whittled it down to four of us now.
Oh, so you made it
Uh,
more efficient, I'm
because,
guessing.
and something else I'm going to tell you, entrepreneurs, and this might be counterproductive, right? Look, you can have seven figures, eight figures, but the question is, do you want an eight-figure hell or do you want a six-figure heaven? I chose to have a six-figure heaven
Hmm.
because at one point I was on this route to expansion and growth, and I worked with that other coach who was like that. And he's got 8 coaches on his team at the minute. And when I was there, he was barely profiting. He was turning over £100,000 a month, but his profit margins were like that after paying all the coaches and advertising and this, that, and the other. And it was just stressful. It's major stressful. And I started my business. It was nice and peaceful. It's small. Then I grew it, and it became stressful. My overheads increased. My revenue increased. My overheads increased. My profit margin decreased. And plus, it was just stress. Things were breaking, and so every day I was putting out fires. And then I thought, like, I'm gonna cut it back, right? So I've cut it back now, and we're down to four. We had six only a couple of months ago, and two more left. And then I'm happy with just four people at the minute. And I might expand a little bit, but I'm going to grow now very slowly and organically and in a way that I feel is sustainable, because all our entire program is about sustainable weight loss and sustainable change, right? And I need to apply that to myself as well.
It's the same logic we're using actually for the podcast itself. Is like right now it's just me and another gentleman who's editing the videos, and eventually the idea is okay. Once we've hit our capacity, or we feel like we're being overutilized for however much time we have, then we'll add on slowly one person and then another person and another person. And I think that intentional growth or that slow growth, I think is far more fruitful than maybe expanding too quickly. Because when you expand too quickly, people don't learn about you. They don't learn about your mission. They don't learn. They're there as a just a body of solving a problem, right? And that approach, I don't think. I mean, I could be wrong, because I mean, I've worked in corporates before. I worked for Colgate Palmolive. I worked for Ernst and Young and some of these other big companies, and I've
Yes.
seen how they operate, and I've seen how small companies operate. I mean, I even have my own restaurant, and that in itself is rough because that has so many issues, supply chain, you name it. And then when you come to this business, it's a little bit different because it's more media enterprise. It doesn't need as much work. It's far more infinitely scalable than, and that's what's interesting about your fitness business is that online it's substantially far easier to scale. You run ads behind it, you can get as many people as you like. But then the more ad dollars you put in, you can actually control the growth, right?
Yes.
And that's what we did with actually the restaurants too, where we only took
You
maybe
know, we only started running ads recently.
oh really?
I tried a couple of times in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and then I hired agencies. And they're terrible. I've wasted this. I mean, I get. I went through this phase of not trusting anyone, not buying courses, and having a really limiting belief and limiting mindset, broke mindset around. And when I said broke mindset, I mean like you can't figure everything out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And YouTube is not always the most. YouTube and Google are not always the most cost-effective or economic way of doing things. Sometimes your time is more valuable.
Yes.
And so I had that mentality where I would everything free and YouTube and whatnot. Then I moved to buying loads of courses and programs, and then I hired mentors and consultants and coaches, and I was trying to expand, and I got my hands burnt a few times. I tried advertising agencies and advertising individuals, And a lot of the time, I hired people who made big claims, but it came to delivery, they knew as much as I did, or less.
Hmm.
And I was correcting them, and I was finding faults and saying, okay, look, why are we doing this? So then I had to sack them. And now I've come back to where I'm doing things on my own again. So I've started advertising again. So I've not really advertised. I've only ever advertised for about 2 months in my entire 4 years that we've been active.
Hmm.
And then only recently I've started again. All our growth has been organic.
SubhanAllah, that's amazing.
We've
So
not
what
had. I've not had a single client through
so
advertising.
what platforms are you using? Are you using Instagram and Facebook, I'm guessing, or are you using
Just
anything else
Facebook at
instead?
the minute. Facebook at the minute. So we're still trying to get the ads working. But I definitely want to do that because organic is very time consuming.
Oh yeah, it is.
I know you have the ideal calendar and you just click and post, and anybody who tells you, man, that that's going to lead to really exponential growth, it doesn't.
I
You
mean, it's
have to
supposed to
spend
be.
time on those
I
platforms.
agree, you have to spend time, but it's also a feedback loop, right? Where let's say you have a couple of organic posts that did really well. This is what one of the things that Alex Hormozy actually mentioned, if you know who he is.
Yeah,
He's been all over the internet, but he mentions your organic posts, if they perform really well, you should actually run ads behind those organic posts because you already have the feedback.
I agree with him. However, organic posts have much fewer restrictions, right?
Mm.
So organic posts, like you see my post, like I'm a bit more, if you're on Facebook, you'll see I'm a bit more raw on Facebook.
Mm.
On LinkedIn, I try and keep things a bit more professional.
Of course, because it's a different
uh,
platform. The
so
audience is
on,
different.
on Facebook, I just say things, right, like really, really just off the cuff. And I don't mean to be mean or offensive or nasty. It just can sometimes come across that way. But I just say things, right? I just say, listen, you're fat, right? Just admit it, and then we can move on, right?
Yeah.
So on LinkedIn, I might not say that. So on Facebook, I say stuff like that. But when I find the challenge I'm finding with advertising is, but then in a weird way, polarizing content does really, really well.
Yes.
Right? Sometimes them posts go. Sometimes I put a post and I'm like, oh, should I really say this? I said it now. So I said something yesterday. People in the comments are like, did you just really say that? Yeah, I did. Right? And about 7, 8 people shared it. It's got like 3 or 4 thousand impressions. It's got like 70, 80 likes and comments, but that would never pass as an ad
Hmm.
because it can be seen as bullying.
Yes. Okay, I can
Uh,
see that. It just depends on, I guess, the type of post then, right? And
yeah.
what platform, what's your audience, how are they going to perceive it, right? Because
Yeah.
I think on LinkedIn, maybe you're doing way more value add and value accretive overall, whereas on Facebook, it's like, okay, it's all off the cuff, like you're
Mm.
mentioning.
I mean, yeah, I mean, my LinkedIn is I use a schedule on my LinkedIn, so it's thought out in advance.
Mm. How far in
Uh,
advance are you going? Are you going maybe 2, 3 weeks, a month, a couple months?
yeah, about I would say about 2 weeks, two and a
Mm.
half weeks. I mean, what happens is I put something on Facebook, it's good. I will improve on it, and then I'll put it on LinkedIn.
Got it.
Or sometimes I just think of something off the cuff and put it straight into
So
LinkedIn.
walk me through like a week of your work. Is it basically Monday morning you wake up, you're managing the business? Are you like what's your day look like typically?
Um, I'm terrible. That's the wrong person to. I'm not. Every day I ask myself, how did I make it this far? I'm the most unfocused. I work my backside off.
Mm-hmm.
I work my backside off, but it's not focused.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a major case of ADHD. Right. I start something within 45 minutes. I get bored. I'll move to something else.
Oh,
And
like
I have lots of different interests.
subhanallah. No,
And I have loads of different courses. So like you'll see me push this concept of actualized Muslim man and the 5 Fs.
mm-hmm.
So I have interests around um, making money, finances. I have interests around fitness. I have interests around my faith,
Mm-hmm.
Islam, and learning. So I start on something and I won't finish this task, and I'll go memorizing some ayahs of the Quran right in the middle of the day, which is not planned. Right? That
Mm-hmm.
could be. So I'll just be like, I want to memorize Quran, go off memorize the Quran for a bit, and then come back, and then I haven't finished the first task. I'm still on the first task.
Mm-hmm.
Then I do a bit more of that, and then I start just check LinkedIn now. Then I start commenting and
Mm-hmm.
speaking to people. Then I'll go on Facebook and I start speaking to people there. And then, and then, but I found that the more time I spend on LinkedIn or Facebook interacting with people, I do better.
Subhanallah.
That's what I meant. That I find that you have to put time. You can't put just content out. And this is a golden nugget for our entrepreneurs listening, guys. You can't just put quality content out. You have to build relationships with people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to engage with people's content authentically.
Mm. You can't
You,
make it transactional, basically, right?
yeah,
One and done, that's it. No. It has
yeah,
to be a constant feedback loop. It has to be constant interaction because without that, it doesn't grow. It doesn't have a soul of its own, right?
yeah.
So, and what's, I guess that's very interesting. So, your overall day
Finance
basically is unplanned.
making is another big one. I like so when it comes to. I should have my. Give me a second. Let me show you something.
Sure.
So this is my. This is what we send out as a welcome pack.
Oh,
Right.
mashallah. That's
This is a
so nice.
welcome pack. We're on 2.2, and we tell them. I'm just going to do for an update. We tell them that this is their journey. This is their journey, right?
Mm.
So it's at the top. You might not be able to see it from
Yeah, you can
there,
see it.
but it says the top. It says faith, family, fitness, finances, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're concentrating on fitness at the minute, right? So in fitness, you've got the minimalist method, and that's the fat loss program. Then after that, you can go into a muscle building program, strength building program, or performance enhancements, right?
Mm-hmm.
But under finances, like I am interested in that. I like. See, I want to help our community. I want to help our community spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
health wise, and
Financially.
financially become better,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And
Um,
what
sorry.
what's yeah, I mean, so you actually bring up a very good point. That was the whole purpose of starting a podcast, actually, because my background is actually in finance. So my goal was how do I bring Islamic principles? For example, how does like if for example the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, there is a way to do business that is halal, that is jaiz, that is permissible, right? A good example of this would be like when he specifically mentioned to a date vendor, he put all the good dates up top and the bad dates on the bottom, but when you scoop it up, you're mixing up the good with the bad. That is not how we do business as Muslims. And then we don't do price gouging. So many of these things that lead to fitna fasadun narid, right? We should avoid these things. But then if you look at Surah Al-Baqarah verse 272, I believe all the way up to 278, it mentions the verses about riba. And many people don't understand that concept. They think, oh, if I take on an interest-bearing loan versus a non-interest-bearing loan, right? There's no difference. It's about the same cost. But they don't understand. It's it's the core principle of how you execute the contract
Mm,
which makes it so fundamentally different. So as a Muslim, we have to be held to a much higher standard,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what makes, at least for me, finance interesting.
And then, because the hadith that Prophet ﷺ said, the honest businessman
Mm-hmm.
will be raised amongst the martyrs.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there's the other hadith, and you'll find it in my stuff, in my program. We talk about that. The best of you is the best who bring the one who brings the most benefit to mankind.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you create a business that creates value, and money exchange is just simply a value exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So you create value, and then people will be happy to give you money in exchange for that value. And marketing helps them to see the value.
Exactly.
So but in terms of finances, my other interest is like, I like making money through business, building businesses. So alhamdulillah, having built a business, I can help people build a business. Um, I, um, I like learning about the stock market, investing,
Mm-hmm.
properties. So I have all these interests. So in the middle of the day, like sometimes I'll see something about property or something on YouTube, and then I watch that YouTube video on. Or I remember, oh yeah, I bought a course last year and I
Mm-hmm.
haven't finished. Let me go watch a video from that course. And so yeah, although I have things written out what I'm supposed to do, it never follows that order.
Hey, Alhamdulillah. I mean, it's still a blessing because even writing it down is actualizing it to a degree, and then asking Allah during every single salah, "Oh Allah, guide me to achieve this dream in Your path," right? And putting Allah first before everything else. I mean, that's what makes Islam beautiful, right?
Have you done a course called the Last Day Leader?
No, I haven't.
I'm going through that at the minute. There's a fantastic brother in the UK called Iqbal Nasim.
Iqbal Nasim?
Yes, he used to be the chairman of the National Zakah Foundation.
Okay.
And so I'm on his course called The Last Day Leader. And his whole thing is about, okay, how can you be leaders?
Mm.
Uh, how can you live as a true Muslim and bring Islam to the forefront, but as a global solution to mankind,
Mm-hmm.
rather than the things that we've historically been um, engrossed with.
MashaAllah, this is amazing. I didn't know something like this existed because in the United States, nobody's really talking about Islamic entrepreneurship or even
There's a
finances.
couple of people I can tell you about in the USA.
Really,
So Maruf is from Canada. Maruf, Deanpreneurs.
Deanpreneurs, I've heard of them. Yes.
Okay. Then there's Abi Al Asmar. I think he's from Canada as well. Uh, his thing is called Ummapreneur.
Yes, Omapreneur I've heard, which I think they have something to do with Joe Bradford. He's a sheikh in Texas, actually. So he's Islamic finance scholar along with Sheikh Talal de Lorenzo out in California, but not many more scholars exist. I mean, in the United States, outside of those, maybe two or three. The rest
Yeah.
are in Pakistan or all other parts of the world, like Mufti Taqi Usmani and his son, and then you have Sheikh Dawood Abu Bakr all the way out in Malaysia. So Malaysia is interesting because that's like an example of Islamic finance, how it should be done, right? And then even in the United States, we have a couple of companies like Guidance Residential, which does Islamic home mortgages, and they have more
Mm.
of a private equity model versus let's say debt financing. So that's another interesting thing. Like in Islamic financing, what's we try to avoid debt financing and we go with equity based financing, and that
Yes.
and many people don't understand the difference either. It's like it comes down to who owns the money essentially, and who's
Yeah.
giving you the money and under what terms and conditions, right? If it's, oh, I have rights over this piece of property or rights over this asset, whereas you don't actually own it, then that becomes an issue Islamically, right?
Yeah. So in the UK we have Islamic finance guru.
Oh yes, Ibrahim.
Yeah, Ibrahim. Yeah.
Inshallah, one day I want to meet him. I actually want to interview him.
Ibrahim and that. So I think this new breed of younger people your age,
Mm-hmm.
mashallah, they are the ones that are leading the way now.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, look, I went to when I was a teenager, I was in a Muslim boarding school, and I went through some of the Alim course and the His course, and and many of the people that are my age now, a lot of them graduated and became Maulanas, and many of them Maulanas now, but they're clueless, they're out of
Mm-hmm.
touch, they're completely out of touch from society altogether, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's sad to say, but they are unable to present a solution because they've not been in the corporate world. They've not
Yes.
been. They've come out of madrasa. They've been in masjids teaching kids how to read Qaeda and
Mm-hmm.
Quran, and they've been engrossed with the fiqh of how long should your beard be,
Mm-hmm.
how long should your trouser length be,
Yeah.
and they've just been engrossed in that. So they've not had the thing about. So even if they wanted to, they don't have the knowledge and skills
Of
to
course.
bring this
I
thing
mean,
in.
it's almost like learning the theory but not actually applying it, right? And that becomes a problem for the Muslim Ummah at large because we've learned so much theory, and the theory is there, all the books and knowledge are there. Like for example, if you look at Sahih Muslim, there's a kitab inside of it, Kitab al Buyu, which is the book of
Mhm.
business transactions, where many of the hadiths of the Prophet regarding business transactions exist. Like a murabaha contract or musharaka contract or an ijara contract or baytul salam, bayt tawliya, and so many more other contract types. Simply, people just don't do enough research or they don't ask the questions, right?
Mm.
And it's only when people start asking those questions that the ummah can be exposed to that knowledge. And that was, again,
Mm.
one of the other purposes of the pod. It's to
And
expose that.
what's important is how we present it,
I
not
agree.
just to Muslims, but to the wider community
Mm-hmm.
as a better way of doing business,
Mm-hmm.
as an alternative. It's like, okay, why would they want to move away from their economic model
Mm-hmm.
or their system to ours? Because it's fairer.
It's fairer, more just. It
Yeah,
has more equity for everybody else, right?
yeah,
And it actually teaches you to be a bit more patient,
yeah.
right?
And we don't. And like for example, it's not about like we hate hoarding wealth. Like in this society, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, right? There's this disparity. Um, in the Islamic economic system, that would that would be abolished. Like that wouldn't be allowed to happen, where one person owns 15% of the world's wealth,
Yes,
whilst you know, 2/3 of the world haven't got food to eat.
that is so true. That's absolutely true. MashaAllah. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Alhamdulillah. It's been an honor to speak with you, Brother Adam.
No, thank you for having me. It's a
No,
pleasure.
no, I mean, like, I have so much to learn from you as a brother. Inshallah, and whenever you're in Atlanta, please feel free, or I will happily invite you. You're more than welcome to stay with me.
Thank you, thank you. I have to make a trip to the US. I have lots of clients in the USA. As I was saying to you earlier about the mindset we have in the UK,
Mhm.
um, I have clients in the USA and Canada, and they're easier to convert as clients much more than the UK. In the UK, we still have this skeptical mindset.
Mm,
It's almost paranoid, skeptical. Everyone's out to get me, a victim mindset, predominantly rife in the UK.
mm. I mean, I remember when I was in the UK, I did sense that, but I didn't realize it was that prevalent.
Yeah, it is. Like, what's in it for you? Why do you want to? And look, even that's even the fact that okay, it's a fair transaction. Look, you're getting something in exchange. If you feel I'm either too expensive or not right for you, it's fine. But I'm not a scammer.
Mhm.
I'm not out to scam you because there's hundreds of people who are happy to pay that because they recognize the
Of
value.
course.
Perhaps you don't recognize the value, and that's fine. You know.
Yep. I think there's this, maybe there's this stigma, right? Oh, I'm gonna go talk to somebody who has the knowledge, but I'm gonna pay for it. No,
Mm,
no, I can get it for cheaper, right? It's that desi
mm,
mentality. Oh, I can go here and I can get it for cheaper. Yeah, yeah, don't worry. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. That, and then that unfortunately yields a bigger problem later down the road. It's like, oh, it's been 5 years. You haven't changed, right? Like you
mm.
were mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
Man, what a show! What a show! I think I learned quite a bit, and I think Adam learned quite a bit from me as well. And I hope the audience learned from both of us, if anything. And guys, if you have questions, comments, if you think I should interview somebody very specific within your own community, please put, the comments down below. I would love to hear some feedback, and I hope to see you guys in the next pod.